Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Hope you're doing okay. Today I wanted to talk about using BlueArp in Studio One. BlueArp is a VST arpeggiator. Now, if you're like me and your DAW of choice is Presonus Studio One and you only have the artist version, you don't have an arpeggiator. If you have the professional version, you do get one. But since I have the artist version, I needed to go out and find one, and BlueArp is completely free. It was created by a Russian programmer, I believe, and it's fantastic. Now, the thing is, all the videos I've seen out there mainly have people using it with the Fruity Loops and some other DAWs. And I couldn't figure out how to make it work with Studio One. It took me a while. The manual is a little different from what it actually is in how it's really used. But that's just the way it is. It happens. Not every DAW is a little different. So I just want to quickly go over how to use it in Studio One. So I've got Studio One up on my screen right now. I just put a simple drum track here, and I've already dragged the VSTs onto the tracks here, and that's how you do things in Studio One. You just go over to your instruments and just drag them out here. So I've got BlueArp and I've got a synth instrument. Now how you set this up is you just open up your instrument and you go over here under the direct input and change that to BlueArp because it's getting the info from BlueArp. And that's it. It's ready to go. Now for the track, if I'm starting a song or something, I will go to my collection of MIDI chords. If you do Google search, you can find these things. They're pre-made chords, which makes it a lot easier to assemble a track because you don't have to input each note by yourself. So I'm just going to make a chord progression. It's important to note that you put the MIDI files under the BlueArp track, not the instrument track. So I've got C. Let me put C. A minor. And F. I'm going to go ahead and merge these together to make one long track. And just so I remember what they are. I'll put it in the name. That way I can see it. And I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate these all the way through. Let's open up BlueArp. And we can see that it already has this simple pattern here, which is just a beat pattern, not an arpeggio. Actually, this one is. I just have to go to the right place to see. In under key select, you will see this pattern here. That I think I already messed around with it because that's not the default pattern. BlueArp does come with a bunch of patterns already, so that will get you started. But if you want to make your own patterns, you can. This is pattern 4, and that's what I edited. You could just change the different notes here to whatever you want. But how does this sound? Let's see. That sounds awful. First of all, let me change it to a better sounding instrument. Yeah, it's a stupid sounding pattern, but I don't care. This is just to show you how it works. Now, let's say you have this, however many bars song that you created, and you want to create a sequence, and you don't want to use the same pattern throughout the entire song. You want to have a pattern that goes one way in the verse for 8 bars, then in the chorus for 8 bars, you want to have a different pattern. Well, to do that, you just would create a sequence, and you can see the sequence block right here is where you do it. Now, in the manual, it said right-click, and then you could select the pattern. But when I right-click, I get this, Edit Automation, which is different from what I was seeing would happen for the other DAWs. And I tried double-clicking, that didn't work. Right-clicking didn't work. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but I just stumbled upon the fact that moving the mouse wheel with the cursor over the slot, that's how you select the pattern here. First, you have to go to a chain. And then you can start inputting your patterns. Now, I was in pattern 4, which is the one I made. So let's say I wanted to have 8 bars of this. So I will go ahead and put pattern 4 in this program sequence. Now here's an important thing to know. This does not start where your MIDI starts. This starts at 1, and it will always start at 1. Because I always have an empty measure in the beginning as a count off. That means that I will have to offset this by 1 measure every time. So let's say I want to have 8 bars of the verse. So I have 8 bars of this pattern 4. What I would do to go to the next pattern sequence is that you have to chain these together. So right now I'm in current chain 1. I want to go to current chain 2. So the next chain would be 2. Now we go to chain 2 and we can edit that. As you can see, I already went ahead and did this earlier. The first one will have to be 4 because I'm always 1 behind. I need to have it 4 because it's only going to be, it starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need my 8 bars. So it has to be here. Then I change it to pattern 10. And again, when I go to chain 3, let's say I want a completely different pattern. We'll go to 3. I have to go to 10. Because we're always 1 measure behind. I have to offset it by 1 bar. And then I could pick something else, which is, I don't know, I'm just randomly, let's say whatever 22 is. I wish I could just right click and type it in, but I have to use the mouse wheel. So we got this all filled out. And actually what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go back to the very first one, to chain number 1. But I have to remember that I was at 22, so this has to be 22 right here. So let's see how this works. Next chain starts at 4. We're coming up at bar 7, so we'll go to chain 3. Again, see, we had to add that one extra 10. What's this? Oh, this must be just playing the whole chord. And after this, it will go back to chain 1 where we play 22 again. And it will just keep looping. So that's how you would set up your chains. I hope this is helpful so that you don't have to... Because I couldn't find this information anywhere on the internet. But there you go, using BlueArp, setting up your program sequence and your chains in Studio One.